It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. This is B Block, which came right after A Block. Today's date is Tuesday, March 18th, and we're having some computer issues. So to those of you in the podcast in the future, this won't make any sense with me laughing, but the problem is normally we play commercials and promos between the blocks, but this morning the computer doesn't want to cooperate. So there are no commercials or promos. It's just John, me, and the machine that I can just still use on the computer. Okay, couple things to talk about. Okay, first off, I had it on my list of things to talk about yesterday morning, Autopen, but I never got around to it, and it's turned into this huge deal. Okay, John, you know what the Autopen is, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, the Autopen is this machine, and I guess it's been around for a while. Essentially what they do is, it's some kind of computer gizmo where what they do is they scan a signature into this machine, into the Autopen, and then they literally put a pen into this machine and it signs things. So in other words, it's not like a stamp. If you had like a collector take a look at it, you've seen this. You ever watch Pawn Stars? You ever see?
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt, Brad, but growing up as a big baseball autograph collector, Autopen was the bane of our existence, because if you wrote a letter to the Baltimore Orioles and asked for Cal Ripken or Eddie Murray's autograph, you would often get an Autopen signature back.
Say now, but the interesting thing about that is, if you take it to like one of these guys, if you watch Pawn Stores, they have the guy, they have a couple guys. It always cracks me up. Guy comes in with a left-handed monkey wrench that was made in the year 2052 BC, and he walks in and he says, "Hey, I've got this left-handed monkey wrench made in the year 2052 BC. Would you like to buy it?" And dude, Mr. Pawn Star dude always says, "Well, I've got an expert that knows everything there is to know about monkey wrenches that are made in the year two." You know what I mean? It's like he always has an expert, and the guy's always down the street. It's like, okay, reality shows.
Yeah, very coincidental. So you were saying there's a lawsuit going on with monkey wrenches, right? Or excuse me, with Autopens, right?
No. What's interesting about this is that when he would bring the signature experts in, if somebody was trying to sell like an autograph, they would look at it with their little eyepiece, their little microscope and the whole bit like that, and they would say, okay, you can see where this crossed over the other thing and stuff like that. In an Autopen,
yeah. But I meant your original point of this whole story has to do with Joe Biden, a lawsuit, and the Autopen, right?
Yes, and the crazy thing about this, well, the crazy thing about it is, if you did that and did you get one of those letters when you sent away that you talked about, like when you got an Autopen signature? Do you have some of those?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, I still have them.
But if you would take that to a collector, how would he be able to tell it wasn't him actually signing the thing? Because it looks like...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, other than the fact that they would know that a letter that came from the Baltimore Orioles from Cal Ripken that said, "Hey, John, thank you for being a fan," if you knew that all those were done by Autopen. But your point is you wouldn't be able to reverse engineer it and say this is definitely Autopen versus this is a Cal Ripken Jr. signature.
Yes, unless, and this is the point, unless you compared the signatures, because nobody's signature is identical from time to time. There's no way you can do it identically from time to time. Except what they've come to find out is almost all of the things that were signed by Biden, bills and things like that, were Autopen. And more importantly, all his pardons were Autopen.
So, now, so the legal question isn't the crux of this, does it matter whether it's Autopen or not?
But see, that's an interesting point, because think about this. Nowadays, with the DocuSign thing, does signing anything mean anything anymore?
No, you don't affix your hand to the paper. You just sign, you put your initials. When your kid goes to a trampoline park or on a field trip,
right,
you just sign virtually.
Right, and to the point where, is the signature that important anymore? So I think that's the part of the issue. So Trump comes out yesterday and essentially says all those pardons that Biden made are null and void, which to me is funny.
Right, which he's making that up, right?
Well, I don't know if he is or not. I think he's serious. I think he's going to try to throw, Hunter Biden in jail and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that brings up an interesting part of the law. If the president of the United States, when he's signing a bill, and like, for example, if Mike Kehoe signs a bill, but he doesn't, he has an automatic signature thing, is that legal or is that not? I think that doesn't the federal law state that things have to be signed by the president? And here we go. This is like a Bill Clinton thing. What does signed mean? Like, what's the definition of is signed by the president? Does that mean that he actually has to sit down with a pen and sign it, or can he have his auto pen sign the thing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think that, excuse me, I think that there's probably an ADA element here, because what happens if the president is a cripple? So what if a president's hand or the governor's hand is tantamount to your hip or your eyeball? Like, if somebody's disabled, you can't hold it against them that they have a crippled hand and they can't sign. You know what I'm saying? Like, so isn't it more equitable to say, hey, people can use Autopen or a visual signer, or is Stephen Hawking still alive? Doesn't he do something with his neck to tell you yes or no, or I need to be changed or something?
He has
a handicapped
machine.
person should be able to sign a bill just like a normal real person with all their faculties,
Yeah, but wouldn't that constitute not the ability to do the job if you can't sign something?
No, I think that as long as you can think. And by the way, Brad, you're being very ableist here. I think it seems to me that you're suggesting that someone needs to have all their faculties. They can't have cognitive dementia the last couple of years in the White House. It seems like you're being very ableist here.
It just cracks me up that all these liberal networks are now coming out and saying, and we talked about this partly yesterday because of the fact that the White House Press Association is up in arms because they got thrown out, and now essentially the White House, the Trump administration is saying who should be at the press conferences and things like that. Okay, John, go back in your memory bank. If you watch any of the press conferences, how many times, except for Peter Doocy, did anybody in the White House press corps challenge the viability of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. to perform the duties of president? How many times?
I'll have to circle back with you on that.
Yes.
Let me flip through my binder to see what kind of an answer we have.
Right. Now the story comes out. Did you ever hear the story? I don't know if it's true or not. The story is that KJP never met with the president. Did you ever hear this part of the story?
No, I didn't hear this.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not surprised. You think Joe Biden wants to meet with her?
Well, the part of it is, God, the whole thing's just so bizarre. You go back and look at the last 4 years. Now, the crazy part of this is in 3 years and in 10 months, people go, oh, my God, look back at the past, 4 years, and it's just so weird with Trump and stuff like that. Okay, you have two diametrically opposed presidencies. You have one who was barely functional, and the other, who a lot of people would say is overly functional. Wouldn't you sort of agree with that, John?
Yeah, the hyperactive.
Right. He's doing too much. Stop. Every once in a while I hear that quote. I think that was from the 2016 campaign where he says, oh, there'll be so much winning. You'll say, oh, stop. I'm winning too much.
You'll be tired of winning.
I'm tired of winning. Too much winning. I'm thinking to myself, talk about overpromise and underdeliver, that kind of thing. Okay. Just crazy stuff like that. Okay. I've got, let me see my list of stuff here yesterday. Okay. I found, you got mad at me because on Friday on 97.1 on Mark Reardon's show, Bob Onder came on, and he and Mark Reardon asked him where he was living in D.C. because he talked about the fact that there were certain congressmen that lived in their office because they couldn't afford a place. And Bob Onder comes out and says he lives on a boat. And I said, okay, what boat? And John said, what are you going to do? Give his address so people would just show up at his boat dock and bother him? So I found two places. I did some research on this. And one of them, if you want to check this out, this is a website called Wharf Life DC, just like it sounds, WHARF, Wharf Life DC. And there's an article that talks about one of the wharfs. And I was saying, okay, where are these places? they're on the Potomac. And this one is, it says, did you know you can live on a boat with a view of the Washington Monument? That's exactly what's been happening at the Gangplank Marina since 1977, one of the largest live-aboard communities in the country. I've never heard that word before. It's apparently a real word. Live-aboard community. 2 words. Gangplank Marina has 88 slips dedicated to full-time residents and several more for transient yachts. The live-aboard boats include motor yachts, sailboats, houseboats, and barges. Slip sizes at Gangplank range from 30 feet to 60 feet. Now, this is on the Potomac, and then there's another one called, I don't know how you pronounce this. It looks like, let me see if I can get this to load. I don't know if I can get this to load. It's called Tantallon, Tantallon Marina. Tantallon, I guess. And it says, live on a boat in Washington, D.C. Welcome to Tantallon Live on a Boat, a live-aboard friendly live on a boat just a short drive from Washington, D.C., Alexandria, Virginia, and National Harbor. We're nestled in between Fort Washington National Park and the beautiful homes of the Tantallon neighborhood. Experience the serenity of our quiet creek, and this is on a creek, and watch the bald eagle soar above the treetops. So, I got a feeling he's probably on the previous one, which is this one, when I say, what is it? Gangplank Marina. So that's probably where where
Wow, boy, you know what? Detective Brad has really come through in the clutch there.
But
hey, you know what I heard? You can't do an interview with him because it's impossible for someone to hold an audio recorder and a phone at the same time.
Well, here's the interesting thing, and I'm going to make a reference to this, which John is not going to get. On his boat that he lives on in the marina, I wonder if he has an alligator on his boat. Do you
Okay, and is that like that's some sort of a nautical term from the 1930s that you remember? What is an alligator on the boat?
No. It's not a nautical term from the 1930s. It's a movie. It's a TV show from the 1980s.
What's called alligator?
No. Did you ever watch Miami Vice?
Yeah, I did. I don't remember an alligator on the boat, though.
Sonny Crockett lived on a boat, and he had a pet alligator.
I don't remember that at all. Wow.
Yes, and he lived on a boat somewhere in the marina because the story was he got divorced and he lost everything, so he had a boat. Now, the part of that that's sort of interesting is, like, I think it's much cheaper to live in a house than it is on a marina because, especially unless you live in Skid Row Marina or something like that, because I think that, like, go down the Lake of the Ozarks, okay? If you said, I'm broke and I got to live in my boat in the Lake of the Ozarks, I don't think that would be being broke. You know what I'm saying, John? I think that would be having some serious money if you could live on your boat in the Lake of the Ozarks. But
yeah, I mean, depending on what the boat was like and what the quarters were, sure.
Okay. I'll look up, on the next break, I'll look up the name of Sonny Crockett's alligator because I remember that he had a name for I think his name was Fred or something like that. Okay, now, here's one that I saw this yesterday. I thought to myself, okay, we got to talk about this today, okay? Trump revokes Secret Service protection for adult Biden children, Hunter and Ashley, okay? Did you know that we were still providing Secret Service protection to Hunter Biden?
I didn't know that until I saw that yesterday on social media, yeah.
Did you read how many people?
No, I didn't.
For Hunter Biden, he has 18 Secret Service agents on his detail. Hunter Biden has 18 Secret Service agents on his detail. Can you imagine what the cost of that is?
Well, now, so here's the thing. Hold on. Is this precedent? Like, does Jenna Bush still have people? Does Malaria Obama or whatever that kid's name is still have a detail or not? Or does it get cut off after a certain period of time?
It talks about former presidents and their spouses receive lifelong Secret Service protection under federal law, but the protection afforded to their immediate families over the age of 16 ends when they leave office. Though both Trump and Biden extended the details for their children for 6 months before leaving office, the Associated Press reported. Former President Biden allowed Barron Trump to keep his Secret Service protection after his 16th birthday. This would have been after Trump left the office in 2021. And it talks about Hunter Biden had 18 Secret Service agents on his detail, and Ashley Biden had 13. Okay, I find a serious problem with this. I mean, I get it that this is, that you got to protect the president. And the other crazy part of this is, I don't know if you know this or you knew this or not, but do you know that the vice president, after he's out of office, gets no Secret Service detail? Did you know that?
I did not know that. Wow.
Yes, there is no Secret Service detail for the vice president. For the president, yes. When the vice president leaves office, for example, right now, Mike Pence, has no Secret Service detail, which I think is sort of fascinating when you think about that. You think about okay, here's a guy who was literally a heartbeat. Anytime, you hear this story, well, the vice president's a heartbeat away from being the president, which is true. I mean, if Biden would have had a stroke or had a heart attack or, some fallen down and whacked his head and died, bang, the vice president's the president. The same thing with Trump. Right now, if something would happen to Trump, we'd have J.D. Vance as the president. So why is it that the vice president, after he leaves office, has no protection like that? I would think that would be, to me, if you want to ask me, okay, which would be more important, provide protection to Kamala Harris or to Hunter Biden, I would say Kamala Harris, because of the fact that, she's the former vice president. Take those 18 Secret Service guys and put her on Kamala Harris's detail instead of putting them on Hunter Biden or Ashley Biden's detail. I don't get it. When I saw this story, I thought to myself, this is the interesting thing for me. I'm not real wild about some of the stuff that Musk is doing. I think he's getting a little bit over his skis, so to speak. Can you like that phrase,
Yeah,
John?
yeah, it's very elitist of you. Go ahead, Brad.
Very elitist of me, thank you.
Very Vail and Aspen of you. Go ahead.
But what I think is interesting is when he pulls back the curtain and you think, we're paying for that. We're paying for that. We're paying for that. Get what I'm saying, John? And
yeah, and the thing is, Doug Emhoff went to Kamala and said, "Hey, where's our Secret Service?" And she said, "We're no longer burdened by what has been." and then she, coked up some cannabis and called it a day.
By the way, one of the things on my Facebook page yesterday. No, where was this yesterday? I saw this. God bless it, the computer's still messed up. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, I'm gonna have to do something here. We're gonna have to we'll take another fake. Here, let's do it right now. We'll move right into C block. Okay, you ready for this? Here we go.